I'd like to know how Heavy Metal Track 2 is coming along.
Real well. We're heading towards our last probably 2 months, and looking forward to hitting the shelves. And as with every other game, wrapping up the loose ends, it gets very, very exciting.
How long have you been working on this project altogether?
This one has been 12 months hard since we got the Quake 3 engine, but we worked maybe a good 6 months before that, so I'd say a year and a half.
Tell us what you think of the game. I mean, like the action in the game, and what you think of like using a real person, Julie, as the character of the game.
Definitely using Julie has been fantastic. Both her and Kevin have been just very inspirational, actually, to work with, as well as exciting. For me, it's been a brand new switch. I've never worked on or played, actually, a third-person perspective. And so it's been a big switch for me, especially doing the levels. We have to do a whole different type of perspective. But like I said, it's coming through together, and I'm liking it a lot.
I was just watching Julie and Kevin. That's the first time they've seen the new footage. So there's a few things that have been that have changed in the game since we last saw it. Tell us what you've done, what you've modified.
Well, one thing probably since last time everyone has seen it is we've changed the model of Julie considerably. Made it look more like Julie. The first one was a working model, and of course you get criticized for it, but you have to have something in the game. And of course the game coming together now, we've got almost all the levels done, the artwork's in there, all the special effects. We got the last code drop off for Quake 3, so we've got everything's in there, and it's just looking really nice.
What do you like best about the game itself?
I'd have to say Julie. The third-person perspective, you get some nice shots, and being a guy, that's one of my favorite parts.
So how did you put her in the game? I mean, you didn't do motion capture? You did motion capture, video, or?
No motion capture. We did the typical the artists. You see them running around the office, and sometimes you think they're flipping out, and they're actually going through motions to try and draw them, or they'll have another artist watching them as they're doing that. So no motion capture at all. In fact, most of our artists are, I'm not sure why, are against motion capture, almost as though it's a form of cheating, which I don't necessarily agree with, but.
Yeah, that's interesting because I talked to Tony Hawk and some of those guys today, so I'm like, motion capture on the brain,
Yeah.
So let's see, the other thing is, what is it like, I mean, let's see, okay, here's what I really want to know, right? Because anybody can just ask questions about the game. So tell me some funny stories. Got any funny stories about like things that happened while you're making the film, or, I mean, while you're making the video game, or what? Come on, you got a story.
No, actually, it's been a very tragic year for me personally, so I haven't been in good humor. No, let me think if I can, because I can't think of anything, any anecdotes.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's right.
I'm going to ask. Let's see, what else? Hold on, my brain stopped. So, what are the biggest challenges that you had to overcome when you were doing the game this time?
For heavy metal specifically, and I hate saying this, but the biggest challenge for us has been, anyone who's familiar with the magazine that's been out for 30 years now, and there was the first animation movie that came out, I think, in 1981, and now the new movie itself, are R-rated, and so there's a lot of nudity. It's soft, but there's still, some bare skin there. However, in the games, we have a very hard time of actually incorporating that. So we've got all the cool sci-fi and the creatures and the fantasy elements, but we had to back away from, and actually had to take quite a few things out of the game to make it palatable for the American audience. And that was kind of hard, being a little boy at heart.
Are you going to make it more risque than for a European audience? Because they don't seem to have as much problems with nudity as the censors here.
Actually, if I ever make enough money, I'm going to move to Europe, because they are the ones that, they're against violence, and they have no problem with nudity. You'll see bulletin boards with, bare bosoms, just for the gratuitous effect. And to me, sex and nudity are natural, they're harmless, they're good, and violence is bad. And I sometimes get guilt-ridden with all the violence that we put out in our games. So I don't know. It's just the thing we have to do in America. We are going to cater to the... I believe it'll be a mature rating, but there will be no nudity, no, outrageous sexual or anything like that in it.
So that just brings me to a question. How do you feel about, just personally, how do you feel about violence, the whole violence thing? I mean, do you think that really has an effect on people?
I don't think, I'm sure everyone has heard this from other people, the movie producers. It's not me making the game violence that is wrong. I do think that there is something wrong with the fact that this is what the audience wants. That's why we're making these games the way they are, is because that's what sells. And to me, it worries me that the human is a violent creature, and that doesn't make me proud. As a metaphor, I feel like society, if it's going down the tubes, is this big bonfire, and I'm on the side with a can of lighter fluid. I'm not helping. I didn't start the fire, and I'm not putting logs in, but I'm not helping. And so, yeah, I get a little guilt-ridden.